We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Prime Minister Narendra Modi chairs Cabinet Committee on Security to discuss Nepal developments, stresses stability, peace and prosperity of Nepal the utmost importance to India. Army takes charge of security after Nepal Prime Minister resigned following violent protest, urges protesters to pursue peaceful resolution. Flight operations temporarily suspended in all airports amid escalating unrest. Qatar denounces Doha strike as a cowardly attack, vows to continue Gaza mediation. Attack draws global condemnation. UN Security Council to hold emergency meeting on Wednesday. And in sports, Afghanistan crush Hong Kong in Asia Cup opener. India to begin campaign today against host UAE in Dubai. We're on to the details now. In Nepal, mass protests have continued over anger against the government following the killing of 19 demonstrators on Monday. Demonstrators have set the parliament building and homes and offices of prominent politicians and parties ablaze in anger. Although Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli has resigned to allow Nepal to take further steps towards a political solution and resolution of the problems. Well, President Ramchandra Paudel has sought cooperation from all sides, including the agitators and citizens, to ensure a peaceful solution of the adverse situation. Also issuing a press statement, President Paudel appealed to the Gen Z representatives and all others to hold talks on the demands raised by the citizens in a democracy for a peaceful resolution. He also urged all sides to maintain restraint. Well, the Nepal Army also appealed for public cooperation, urging citizens not to engage in or support destructive acts. Following hours of violent protest in Kathmandu and other parts of the country, the Nepal Army announced to take charge of security operations. Also, Nepal Army Chief Sigdel meets Gen Z representative on Tuesday midnight. Armies arrested 26 looters taking unfair advantage of the situation. All airports in Nepal were shut on Tuesday amid violent protests, with flights grounded due to nationwide security risks. Flight operations to and from Nepal will remain suspended till 12 p.m. on Wednesday, with the army taking control of the Tribhuvan International Airport in Kathmandu. And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday chaired a meeting of the Cabinet Committee on Security to discuss developments in Nepal, where violent protests have toppled the government, and stressed that stability, peace and prosperity of the country are of utmost importance to India. Prime Minister Modi said the violence in Nepal, in which at least 19 people have lost their lives, is heart-rending, and appealed to people in Nepal to support peace. The stability, peace and prosperity of Nepal are of utmost importance to India. Well, also in view of the situation in Nepal, India has issued an advisory for its citizens there. Indian citizens are advised to defer travel there until the situation has stabilized. Indian citizens presently in Nepal are advised to shelter in their current places of residence, avoid going out onto the streets and exercise all due caution. They are also advised to follow local safety advisories from Nepal's authorities as well as the Embassy of India in Kathmandu. Well, in case of any assistance required, Indian citizens can call the Embassy of India in Kathmandu on the following helpline numbers. The numbers are 977-980-860-2881 and 977-981-032-6134. Well, I repeat, the numbers are 977-980-860-2881 and the other number is 977-981-032-6134. And Nepal is witnessing its biggest civic uprising in recent history. What began as online dissent turned into violent street protest, forcing Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli to resign. Well, at least 19 people are dead, more than 300 injured, and many government institutions attacked. DD India's Shweta Singh reports from Kathmandu on how the unrest unfolded.
It all started with a ban on social sites. On September 4, the Nepalese government ordered the shutdown of 26 prominent social media platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube. But the move backfired. By September 6, a viral hashtag #NepoKid trend on TikTok and Reddit erupted in Nepal, exposing and mocking the lavish lifestyles of politicians' children in sharp contrast with the struggles of ordinary citizens. The anger spilled offline. On September 8, thousands of young Nepalis hit the streets. Protesters breached parliament premises, forcing authorities to impose curfews. The same day, Home Minister Ramesh Lekhek resigned. The protest continued to escalate. By September 9, demonstrators set fire to the private residences of President Ramchandra Paudel and Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli. They torched the Supreme Court, Special Court and Kathmandu District Court. Hours later, Prime Minister Oli stepped down, bringing an end to his tenure but not the unrest. At least 19 people were killed and over 300 others injured during the violent protest. Kathmandu mayor and popular rapper Balendra Shah has urged Gen Z protesters to remain calm. But behind the slogans are deep frustrations: lack of jobs, economic dependence on remittances, and widening inequality. The unrest follows years of political churn since the monarchy was abolished in 2008, with 13 governments taking office in less than 2 decades. Fed up with the burning issues like unemployment and corruption, Nepal's transformation, which can provide them some ray of hope. Shweta Singh in Kathmandu, Bureau Report, DD India.
And moving on, the National Democratic Alliance candidate and Maharashtra Governor C.P. Radhakrishnan is the 15th Vice President of India. He defeated the opposition's candidate, former Supreme Court Judge B. Sudarshan Reddy. Radhakrishnan got 452 first preference votes, while Reddy secured only 300 first preference votes. Well, C.P. Radhakrishnan is a seasoned Indian politician who began his career at the age of 16 in 1974, joining the Bharatiya Janata Sangh in Tamil Nadu. He served as the Jharkhand governor in 2023 and as Telangana governor and Puducherry's lieutenant governor in 2024. He was serving as the governor of Maharashtra since 2024, his focus there being on education and tribal welfare. And to celebrate C.P. Radhakrishnan's election as India's 15th Vice President, renowned sand artist Sudarshan Patnaik created an intricate sand sculpture on Puri beach. The artwork honoured Radhakrishnan and symbolized national pride, unity and the spirit of Indian democracy, drawing admiration from locals and the tourists. And the European Union's Political and Security Committee, comprising of the Chair Ambassador Delphine Pronk and 27 EU member states ambassadors based in Brussels, will begin his 5-day India visit from today. During the first visit to India, the committee will hold strategic discussions with high-level Indian government officials, private sector defense representatives, civil society organizations and leading think tanks. This extensive engagement aims to provide a comprehensive assessment of policy priorities while exploring future avenues for enhancing cooperation on key foreign policy matters, security and defense, particularly in the lead-up to the upcoming EU-India summit in early 2026. Well, the EU is one of India's largest trading partners and investors, with both sides aiming to conclude a free trade agreement by the end of 2025. The EU and India, as large, pluralistic democracies, share a strong commitment to upholding the rule of law, human rights and democratic governance. Well, Indian Armed Forces contingent comprising 65 personnel will participate in the multilateral joint military exercise Zapat 2025 with Russian forces from today. Well, the 7-day exercise will be held at the Molino training ground in Russia's Nizhny. The contingent comprises 57 Indian Army personnel, along with 7 personnel from the Indian Air Force and 1 from the Indian Navy. Exercise Zapat 2025 is designed to enhance military cooperation and interoperability among the two nations. Well, the drills will provide a platform for exchanging tactics, techniques and procedures, particularly in conventional warfare and counter-terrorism operations. The exercise also aims to integrate emerging technologies and improve the ability of forces to operate in a multinational environment. Well, India's green hydrogen mission is driving self-reliant clean energy. From 8th to the 12th of September, our Dutch innovation mission partners in Delhi, Kochi and Gujarat on electrolyzers, LOHC storage, R&D and hydrogen mobility. Why India and the European Union are such ideal partners for this mission? Here's a report from our correspondent Mark Limburg. Take a look.
India's national green hydrogen mission puts self-reliant clean energy front and center and aims to inspire global progress. This week, an important Dutch innovation mission visits India to co-develop research and development, electrolyzers, storage and hydrogen mobility. Joining me online is Jan Reijn Smit from the Dutch Ministry of Economic Affairs. I asked him why this mission to India.
We identified India as a crucial global player with strong knowledge, skills and infrastructure, and we're trying to get our industry and research institutes closer together.
India's 2030 hydrogen goals are ambitious. Why does it serve as an inspiration for global green energy, and what exactly makes India and the European Union such ideal partners?
We see a lot of possibilities, and especially the ambition in India to set itself up as a large-scale hydrogen producer makes it very important and makes India a very important partner to the Netherlands and Europe. Why are we focusing on Kochi and Gujarat at this moment? Well, they have significant resources, skills in the field of hydrogen, and well, we see a lot of opportunities for collaboration from both sides. In Kochi and Gujarat, they have abundant renewable energy, which is crucial for the global hydrogen production.
Mark Limburg reporting from the Netherlands for DD India.
And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. Emmanuel Macron appoints loyalist Sébastien Lecornu as France's new Prime Minister. India expresses deep concern over Israeli strikes in Doha, urges restraint and diplomacy. And Apple introduced an upgraded line of new iPhones, launches iPhone 17 with new A19 chip.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Johar. Arey, it fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout ho gaya.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Quran. And moving on, Qatari Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani has issued a strong warning to Israel following a missile strike on Doha on Tuesday. Calling the incident a clear violation of Qatar's sovereignty and an act of regional destabilization, the Qatar PM said Qatar reserved the right to respond to this blatant attack.
Qatar affirms that it will not tolerate any violation of sovereignty or territorial integrity. It will respond firmly to any reckless breach or aggression that threaten its security and undermine its regional stability. Qatar reserves the right to respond to this blatant attack and will take all necessary measures to address it.
While reaffirming his commitment to mediating peace, Al Thani said mediation efforts are part of the Qatari identity and nothing would deter its role in that regard.
Mediation in Qatari diplomacy is part of our identity and will continue. Nothing will deter us from carrying on this role in all the various issues surrounding us in the region.
While multiple explosions rocked Doha on Tuesday in what Israel has confirmed was a targeted airstrike against senior Hamas leaders. The Israel Defense Forces and the Shin Bet Security Agency claimed a responsibility for it, marking the first known Israeli strike on Qatari soil. Moreover, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that Israel takes full responsibility for the strikes, calling it an independent military action. Also, Hamas accused Israel of trying to assassinate its negotiators, including Khalil al-Hayya, who had met Qatari officials just a day earlier. While Israeli attacks on Doha draws global condemnations, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has strongly condemned Israel's strike on Hamas leaders in Doha, calling it a flagrant violation of Qatar's sovereignty and territorial integrity. He urged all sides to focus on achieving a permanent ceasefire, not further destruction.
I condemn this flagrant violation of the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Qatar. All parties must work towards achieving a permanent ceasefire, not destroying it.
Well, European powers also condemned Israeli strikes on Qatar. French President Emmanuel Macron, in a social media post, called that attacks unacceptable regardless of motive. He further added that the war must not be allowed to spread in the region. Well, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer also condemned the attacks and said that it risked a further escalation in the volatile region. Also, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz also called the strikes unacceptable. Merz praised Qatar's mediation efforts to achieve a ceasefire in Gaza and the release of the hostages. Well, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni also voiced Italy's support for all efforts to end the conflict in Gaza. Meloni, in a social media post, said Italy remains opposed to any form of escalation that could further aggravate the crisis in the Middle East. Meanwhile, the UN Security Council will hold an emergency meeting on Wednesday in response to Israel strikes targeting Hamas officials in Qatar. The meeting is scheduled for 1900 GMT in New York. Well, Trump says the decision to strike Qatar was made by Netanyahu and not by the U.S. president.
I'm not thrilled about the whole situation. It's not a good situation. But I will say this, we want the hostages back, but we are not thrilled about the way that went down today.
And moving on, French President Emmanuel Macron has named loyalist Sébastien Lecornu as Prime Minister on Tuesday, defying expectations he might tack towards the left. Macron made the appointment one day after his last Prime Minister, Francois Bayrou, was ousted in a parliamentary confidence vote over his efforts to cut public spending. However, Macron's office said the president had asked Lecornu to hold talks with all political forces in parliament to find compromises on the budget and other policies before naming his cabinet. Lecornu will become Macron's fifth prime minister in less than 2 years after Parliament ousted Francois Bayrou on Monday over his plans to tame the country's ballooning debt. The news of his appointment was greeted with derision by leftist parties who called for voters to express their disdain in nationwide block everything protest on Wednesday. Well, President Macron did not take long to name a new prime minister, but along with it, France seems to be heading into a renewed period of unrest. With frustration over austerity plans boiling over, grassroots groups have called for a nationwide block everything movement on Wednesday that aims to paralyze the transport, schools and daily life. Political parties and unions have expressed their disbelief and discontent on social media. Numerous users demanded that the French leader dissolve the National Assembly and call snap elections. Messages circulating online have urged supporters to blockade Paris Ring Road, Europe's busiest urban motorway with 1.2 million vehicles a day, and even sabotage power at certain metro and train stations. And some updates from Brazil now, as the second day of judges voting in Brazilian ex-president Jair Bolsonaro's coup trial wraps up. His lawyer rejects the first two votes to convict. Two judges in Bolsonaro's coup trial votes to convict him, with three others yet to give their verdicts. Bolsonaro faces over 40 years in prison if at least 3 of the 5 judges find him guilty of seeking to stay in power. Supreme Court Justice Alexandre de Moraes, the first to cast his vote in proceedings that could last until Friday, said Brazil nearly returned to dictatorship after 40 years of democracy. Well, after Moraes, Judge Flávio Dino, a former justice minister under Lula, also voted to convict. 3 more judges are set to vote over 3 days from Wednesday in a public session broadcast live. Judges can change their vote until a final verdict is reached, with a majority of 3 needed. Only then will sentencing deliberations begin. Meanwhile, Bolsonaro's senator's son Flávio, who voted to convict his father, accused the court of executing a judicial lynching without legal basis or evidence. And hours after Israeli strikes against top Hamas leaders in Qatar's Doha, the Ministry of External Affairs on Tuesday expressed concern over airstrikes, urging all parties to exercise restraint and pursue diplomacy to maintain peace in the region. MEA said in a statement that India is deeply concerned by this development and its impact on the security situation in the region. We strongly urge restraint and diplomacy so that peace and security in the region is not endangered. And on to some business news now. Apple introduced an upgraded line of new iPhones, including a slimmer iPhone Air, and held prices steady amid US President Trump's tariffs that have hurt the company's profit. The iPhone Air comes with a high-density battery and a brand new processor and will be priced starting at $999 US. The model was the star of the company's annual product launch event. Apple called it the most durable iPhone yet. It will use the A19 Pro, a processor chip that it said it had tweaked for better energy efficiency. Apple also launched the iPhone 17, the iPhone 17 Pro, the latest upgrade to its flagship smartphone, as well as the new version of its AirPods Pro, wireless headphones and a blood pressure monitor in its latest Apple Watch. And on to some sports news now. Afghanistan started the Asia Cup campaign with a statement when beating Hong Kong by 94 runs in Abu Dhabi on Tuesday. Batting first, 50s from Siddiqullah Atal and Azmatullah Omarzai. Afghans set a target of 189 for Hong Kong. Siddiqullah Atal remained unbeaten on 73 of 52 balls, while Azmatullah Omarzai scored 53 in 21 balls. In reply, Hong Kong crumbed in the power play, finishing the first 6 overs with a score of 23 for 4. Other bowlers did their job to restrict them on score of 94 for 9. Afghanistan will take on Bangladesh next on September 16th in Abu Dhabi. And India will start the Asia Cup campaign against host United Arab Emirates in Dubai on Wednesday. With a powerful squad blending youth and experience, India will hope to begin on a high, while the UAE, backed by home support, will aim to secure a huge upset. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. Well, we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.